should you buy all the domains that are available for the countries that you want to sell in, or is it enough if you just use, for example, one .com domain for everything? Today I was asking exactly this question, and I must say that I always go with one domain first, because obviously this makes the most sense in terms of work, because if you have to maintain like 5 different domains, it's a little harder, even though you can integrate them, but still it's not that nice to work with. Then you have to think, how important are each of these markets? So if you are using, for example, US domain, so .com, and German domain, and Italian domain, all these things, you have to justify this somehow. So that means that you have to be very active in all these markets. The guy who asked me this question was selling in around 10 markets, and so he asked if it's useful to get a domain for all these markets. And I definitely have to say that I would only buy a domain for all these markets if it's going well already, or if you have very extensive plans with the store or the brand. So if you really want to dedicate yourself to the brand, and maybe if you have money to invest in this brand, then it may make sense to get all these domains and reserve them for you. But usually the average store can just start out with one. And in my opinion, it's much easier to just, to adjust the languages to the different locations. So for example, you make the store language in Spanish for the people coming from Spain, or to Swedish for the people coming from Sweden, and all these things. And usually that's totally fine, having one .com domain and then just changing the languages instead of getting 5 or 10 or 15 different domains just for this one store, which is way too much in my opinion, especially when you're just starting out. And finally, the problem with Shopify, for example, is that the checkout process will always be in one language. So even though you can customize the language on your front side, once they reach the checkout, it will always be in English, for example. And of course, this isn't that great. So if you just browse your store in German, for example, and then you are in the English checkout, it looks a little bit strange. But I think that it's still okay. So it's better than just having to maintain all these different websites. So start with one, for example, .com, which is like the most used one, obviously. If sales are going really well, and if you create special campaigns for each country, for example, if you're really doing promotions in the countries individually, then think about getting different domains to even tailor everything more to this specific country, and eventually even think about making everything in this language. And 3, testing how well this works, and only if you reach certain amounts in ad spending and in turnover and etc., think about getting more and more domains. Only if you make enough sales in these different countries. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. There is no need to get that many domains up front, and see you in the next video.